Welcome to the FNO InsureTech podcast, a place where movers and shakers from all points within the insurance ecosystem gather and discuss all things InsureTech. We talk about how technology and innovation are affecting and driving change in the industry. Here are your hosts, Lee Boyd and Rob Beller.
Hey, podcast world. Welcome to another amazing, exciting, and you're going to hear about it this time. Rob got all out of sorts excited.
You did.
Didn't I?
You got very excited.
I got a little more excited than usual.
Which is saying a lot because you're not always super excited.
Really?
You did.
Really?
No.
Are you saying I'm a downer? Is that what you're where you're going with this?
No, you're even.
I'm a bummer.
Even to down. Even to down.
Wow, the smart one just called me a bummer. Huh.
I didn't say bummer. I
that
just say
hurts a little
you
bit.
Don't always end a podcast saying that was awesome.
I'm hurt.
I'm sorry.
I'm hurt. I thought our relationship was further down the road, but
I thought there was honesty in our relationship. Is that not the case?
Yeah, only when, but not hurtful honesty.
Oh,
I just want happy honesty.
Well, if you interpreted it that way, I apologize.
Wow.
And with a smile on my face.
I'll curb my enthusiasm.
As you should.
Welcome, everybody, to another exciting, interesting edition of FNO InsureTech. I am one of your two hosts. We've given ourselves a promotion, Lee and I. We used to be co-hosts. Now we're hosts.
Oh.
Did you know that we got promoted?
I missed the memo.
And we also got a 100,000 times % increase in our wage that we're paid to do this.
It was a big deal.
So it went from 0 to 0.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Sure. We are your hosts on this journey through InsureTech, looking ahead towards podcast number 200 coming up in the near future.
What are we going to do on that one?
I think we're going to have a big party.
Party.
I think we're going to have an InsureTech podcast party.
Is that going to come out around ITC time?
That'd be cool.
We could have a party at ITC hosted by ITC.
I would enjoy that.
Okay.
I would enjoy that. So today we have with us a really, as Lee said, I got all excited, all worked up. We have the CIO of Obie, Matt Sutika, with us from Florida to talk about Obie Insurance. And I think it's really interesting for a lot of different reasons. What do you think, Lee?
I think it is. It's a company who is out there selling insurance for rental homes, right? People who own rental homes. And it's a very interesting market. And we're going to get to talk to Matt all about that. We're going to get to talk about the journey that they came on. There was a key acquisition involved in this journey. And we're going to get to talk a little bit about InsureTech 1.0, 2.0, and then maybe even think about 3.0. So it's a little bit of a teaser right there.
When you think about how many rental properties there are in this country and how many owners of rental properties there are, you're talking about an enormous market. And this is a company that had the foresight and the vision to take those ideas and do something really clever with it. And so we'll just move right to it. What do you think, Lee?
Let's do it.
Without further ado, here's our interview with Matt Sutika, CIO of Obie Insurance. Hey, everybody. We are here with our guest who's coming to us today from beautiful Florida, where there's an anomaly going on in Florida. It's cloudy. Is that right, Matt?
Yes, it is cloudy, and both my staff and I just don't know what to do on cloudy days. So we're sitting here a little sad, but we're excited to do the podcast here.
So you might as well submit to wasting 45 minutes of your time with a couple of yo-yos.
Yes,
which we really appreciate. We have Matt Sutika with us. Matt is a really interesting cat. He was the co-founder or founder of Skylight Insurance.
Yep, founder Skylight. Yep.
Okay, which was combined with the company that we're going to be talking about today, Obie Insurance Services, and he's now the CIO at Obie. And that was kind of hard for me to get out, but did I get it right?
For the most part, yeah. I formerly was a founder of Skylight Insurance, which got pulled in and acquired by Obie back in 2020. And now I am sitting as the CIO under Ryan and Aaron, our founders of Obie, and we're rocking and rolling.
We're going to put a little spoiler out there. You are an InsureTech that's profitable. Is that true?
Well, yes, I'm going to say we can say that. I always go back. There was a Silicon Valley episode, if you've watched the show, and probably Aaron and Ryan are rolling when they finally listen to this, but where it's like, no, we don't want to talk about profits, right? That was like what the VC was saying. So yes, we have a lot of aspects that are profitable of our company, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
Cool. Anyways, we'll move forward from there. That's the least important part.
Absolutely.
To us, anyways. Not so much to you. But anyways, so let's jump into Obie. I mean, I kind of consider Obie like a real classic InsureTech story. Both Lee and I do. And so we're really excited to have your company on the show and to talk about it. But so let's start by giving us what the heck Obie is and what you do. And I got to ask you how you got the name. So
absolutely. I'll start with the name because that's the softball one, right? So Ryan, our one of our founders and our CEO, I don't believe I know how long ago, but it was a former pet or dog that he owned, and the dog's name was Obie. I didn't find this out till years into it when I was sitting by his computer and he was trying to make a logo for us. And he was making a dog, and I made some offhanded comment about, hey, why are we a dog? And anyways, long and behold, that's where the actual name came from. I totally assumed it was just him and Aaron thought of, they went to probably one of those sites that you go to in the InsureTech space. And it's like all these rules for what's a cool InsureTech name. It's got to be 4 letters and it's got to, do this and got to be 2 syllables and stuff. That's what I assumed, but apparently it comes from Ryan's dog. And it's gone from a name that I like to like, I absolutely love it now. It's like, one day maybe it'll have, like a Nike or, McDonald's or some type of ring to it. But right now it's going down a good path. So that's the name story. And then to follow up on your other question of what does Obie do, which is probably more important, is we're making the experience that you have as an owner in the rental space, starting with the 1 to 4 unit, faster, more efficient, and, allow you to within minutes go on as an owner and get a rental insurance quote and have the ability to bind it. So you're not spending a ton of time going out to a captive agent or an independent agent and spending 2, 3, 4 days to get a quote and all this paperwork. We're really making it where you can do it, at 11 o'clock at night when you're looking at your NOI and you want to just see if you can get a new insurance policy. That's what we're really working on, from a near and dear today standpoint. Overall, we're really wanting to shake up the habitational and multifamily space and just bring things, more faster and more digital to their space or to the arena.
That's great. So is the site for the actual insureds, the actual homeowners who are renting it out, or would insurance agents also use it?
That's a good question. So we started DTC in 2 ways. So we started, direct to consumer, so they can go onto our site and with minutes do it yourself. With that, we've also our kind of big thing that we've been working on is we've embedded our services in a lot of the big prop tech players that you'll see out there, from, the roof stock to belong home type of companies. And then we are, I can make this announcement on here because it's weeks away. We're actually about to launch into the independent agency channel where you'll be able to get an actual Obie contract as an independent agent and be able to sell our products. So yes, we'll hit across all lines here and we're very close to launching that out. But
your primary customer is the small real estate investor, correct?
Yes, that is the primary end result, right, is the investor. However, how we get to that investor is also important to us, right? We believe in working with property management companies, lenders, because we believe in insurance. The way someone comes to you is also how they'll leave you. So, if they come to you from Google, they might leave you from Google. And, we believe if we work through property managers and other people who have like-minded results or working with the same customer, our focus then is that client has to leave both that property manager and us, right? And so we really like to work through those channels and provide a service to those property managers that helps them keep the client, i.e. then helps us keep the client as well. And that's kind of our ultimate goal.
And so you're referring to the property manager in his or her relationship with the owner of the property.
Absolutely. Yep.
And okay, cool. And these are owners that may be as small as I own a rental house, 1 unit, all the way up to, I'm sure, lots and lots of units, correct?
Yeah. From your Aunt Sally, who decided to flip her one house, secondary house, into a rental, and she needs insurance, to a major company like, let's say, a Fundrise or a Roofstock or a Nest Egg that, what I would call more like institutionally needs the insurance help. Our product works all the way across the board and really, fits those needs of whoever needs to come to us.
So what are you doing to separate yourself from the other insurance agents, the other agencies out there who are selling this type of insurance? We read about APIs, we read about data. What are you doing? Is it just that you're bringing this online, or is there more behind the scenes that makes it faster?
So twofold. So actually my first answer to that is we're not really as much trying to separate, as crazy as that sounds, as we want to work with, almost like a Dropbox feel, right? So the reason we went into the space is I've been a broker, both captive and independent, and most carriers don't concentrate on the rental space, right? You think about State Farm or Allstate, they care about the home auto business. They have the rental and maybe even limited at like 1 to 5 that they'll actually write, because they don't want to lose that home and auto, because Aunt Sally in that same example wants to get her rental dwelling, right? But they're not concentrated on it, right? Same in the independent market. There's very few carriers that if you have a portfolio or you even have that one-off rental that as a broker, you can go right for your client. So our separation is also, wanting to work with. We think that we are huge value to captive and independent agencies to actually write our product, because they have the client, right? Again, like I said, we always try to work with who has the client and then provide a better service for them and their client. And so we actually think that we can work with the captive agents, independent agents, and the direct to channel partners with our product, because there isn't a great solution out there. And then to go into your follow-up question, of course, we're making it faster, more efficient, and easier to use, more digital experience, quote and bind experience. We're also giving that because to end, what I found in the world of the IA space or the InsureTech space is a lot of the InsureTechs of past said, hey, we're going to cut out brokers altogether, right? And go at it this way. And then the broker said, well, I'll never work with an InsureTech because, they're trying to take business away. And really what it is there's a middle ground. The brokers really could use that tech to write their clients faster. And those InsureTechs who have the tech could really use these brokers to get into a client base at a way cheaper acquisition cost. And that's where we're trying to live in that middle channel. And I think all InsureTech should. So
are you an MGA? Is that what you guys are? Or are you an insurer? You're underwriting your own paper?
Yeah. So we're Costco right now, to be honest with you. So we got the brick and mortar, and we started as selling other people's products, i.e. we would write on other carriers' paper. We just launched a few months ago with Munich, our first state on our own MGA, which is Ohio. So we are live in the state of Ohio, and that is actually on our own paper up to 4 units. And that's what we'll continue to do. So that was our Kirkland brand to keep that, example going. And so you'll continue to see that from us, is that we can continue to serve customers across all 50 states in a digitalized brokerage in the rental space type of feel. And as we can add our own paper and MGA to those states, you'll slowly start to see the Kirkland brand take over and actually have us be the full MGA. Our goal would be to be full MGA in all 50 states. And we'll continue that goal over the next probably 12 to 18 months as we continue to expand. Very similar to what you've seen with some of the other Hippo and Lemonades. The only difference is we have the brokerage in the back. So we actually can do all 50 states while we're adding states of our own, compared to just saying, hey, we're just in these states at this time and then losing all that business. There was really no reason with our acquisition of my old company, Skylight, not to be able to do both. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
And Digital Partners is a part of Munich Re?
Yeah. Yep. They are. Digital Partners are the ones that run that. I would be lying to you and would be speaking very unintelligently if I went into too depth of that. Aaron and Ryan have spent most of their time. That was their baby. They really brought Munich on and got that developed. So did a really good job with that.
But that's a fabulous step forward for you guys, right?
Absolutely.
To be able to also capture that part of the equation. So let me ask you about what you're writing.
Yep.
So Aunt Sally decides to make her house a rental house, and she probably first calls her agent who she's been with all along, and she says to Aunt Sally, "Oh, sure, we can just add that to your policy, right, or whatever." So what your hope is that you can penetrate that agent's book so that that agent says, "You know what? We have a product just for this situation." Is that correct?
Yeah, it's absolutely, because for 99% of the brokers, agents, whatever you want to call them out there, rentals are a side product. They're not their bread and butter, just like the main thing. So we think that IA or captive in that same scenario, yes, they would want to use our product because they might only get a couple rentals a month or even every 6 months. And they want the fastest, most efficient way to take care of that. Home and auto, they're fine with taking their time and really going through their carriers or their carrier if they're captive and, going through all the details. But we think with the rental dwelling, like I said, we use Dropbox type of example. We want to be that real easy extension for those, few rentals you get a year. And then if you're a big producer, of course, then, we work for that too. We can make you be able to produce a lot in an efficient manner.
And is the policy, it must be a somewhat unique policy because it's not owner occupied. They have a renter in there. So how's the policy different in this case?
Absolutely. It's a great question. So we, with our background of all we do is the HAB space, we were able to kind of tailor the policy to not only what a client needs, but also to meet lender requirements, which is like a huge part of the space. So we're going to have the 1 million, 2 million every time on the general liability, right? We're not going to mess a lot of these rental policies. They start going at 500K. And it's just, you knock out half the lender. So we did that for one. The other thing is we live in, 2022 now, and we've just gone through, the pandemic and everything like that. People live differently. They rent differently. They do differently, so our policy equates for Airbnb, short-term rental, being vacant. We also understand the remodeling aspect of the space, right? Where people do have these vacant, they do upgrade them. They do cosmetic renovation. So our policy will cover every aspect. And that's really the unique piece, is that most carriers are just flipping a homeowner's policy over as a rental. And it doesn't really do the things for any of your listeners out there that actually own rentals, they understand what I'm saying. It's Airbnb now. It's vacant. It's remodeled. That's the stuff that happens, right? Homeowners doesn't do that stuff, right, for the most part. So that's really what makes us unique, is we actually built our product around our consumer and not the other way around. Most brokers are trying to jam their consumer into a product that's in
square peg round hole, right? Yep. It'll fit in there. It's not a good fit, but it'll fit in there. Yeah. And like my wife, I'll tell you about a personal experience. My wife is a marriage and family therapist, and she is in an old office building, and it was actually a home. Okay. And so the owner sold it to a gentleman who's in the process of converting it now into an Airbnb. He lives in the Bay Area, a long way from where I live, but that's his thing, is he puts Airbnbs all over the place. Is that one of your customers?
Is Airbnb our customer, or that type of person?
That type of person.
That type of person would be our customer. Yes. We can handle the Airbnb, the short term. We have even some of our new partners are in things from the day-to-day rentals to all these shared rentals to what do they call it? Even prorated rentals to there's so many different people are attacking the rental space now and doing things so different. And we're equating for that. We're even the shared rental is a thing where people it's like a shared room. Right. We're even equating for that type of stuff and have some partners that are actually making a business out of taking over people's extra space or houses or everything like that and renting them out. And we're going to be able to help them ensure that.
That's wonderful. I was reading an article here recently about the growth in the rental space, how very few people are able to afford homes anymore. Oh, that's not really what it said, but less people are able to afford homes. And now you have these custom builders who are coming in and no longer building just a bunch of homes. They're building a bunch of rental homes, and then they're going to rent them out. And I'm just wondering, is that something you're seeing? Is the market for rental homes going up, or is it staying the same?
From what we're seeing, they're going up. And I think that is for a lot of reasons. I mean, the pandemic really, I think, pushed things because, not only are people moving, north to south as it relates to the United States, when you do that and you have high moving, it's going to naturally, in my opinion, increase the rental market from just the simple thought process of a lot of people want to try it out for a year or try it out for 6 months, and then the other reason why I think the rental is going up is the ability to get a home right now or purchase a home is kind of hard, right? They're overbid, over purchasing. A lot of people that are buying these homes, right? So it's not just the builders who are building rentals, but I'm seeing where a lot of builders and investors are buying homes that normal people would live in, right? And they're outbidding and they're getting it and they're forcing people into the rental. So I think everything that's going on in the marketplace right now is forcing people into the rental space. And I do think that also with a lot of these prop tech partners that we have too, these companies are making it easier for, the mom and pops to own rentals and have profit. And I'll take for me, I don't know what I'm doing as far as day to day to be a property manager of a single family rental and get anything. But if I have some cash, there's so many companies out there, these prop tech companies that they'll even help you purchase a rental. And you basically just sign up for this ROI to NOI type of deal with them. And they say, hey, you're going to apply for a loan. We're going to find you the house. We're going to rent it for you. And then this is what you make. And so there's so many of those out there that's also increasing the rental space in a good way because it's allowing a person access to an investment in the real estate space that never existed before.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I find this to be this whole world that you're talking about fascinating. I mean, and it led us to look at roof stock.
Yeah.
Can you just tell our audience real quick what roof stock is and what they do and how you fit into their equation?
Yeah. So roof stock is a partner of ours. And so where we fit in is we are providing them an embedded solution, for their people. So people come to their site and work with them to basically do what I just mentioned, to get involved with investment properties in a more systematic way. One of the bigger names too that people hear about is Fundrise, right? They're basically allowing the everyday person to get more access into investment properties. And through that, those individuals need faster access to, information as it relates to taxes. They need faster information as it relates to pricing on insurance. And so we're building embedded services within their platform to allow their customers that ability to, get their insurance in a timely manner. And, what I always say is, and the reason why we went with these and started working with a lot of these prop techs is that we have the same type of customer, someone who would want to go to a roof stock or a nest egg or a Fundrise or a Belong Home or you name it, right? There's someone who is looking for efficiencies. There's someone who wants to kind of do some investing on their own, but they want some help, right? Why wouldn't they want those same characteristics about their insurance? And that's what we're helping them provide. It's
a natural fit. It's completely natural. It's one of the things on the checklist that must be taken care of.
Absolutely. It just goes to the overall, there's a lot of crowdsourcing for funding on real estate deals. There's, like I said, there's partial shares. There's companies now. I just saw one the other day. It's really cool that you can actually be like a fourth or an eighth owner of a vacation property. So there's all types of different ways you can be an investor now in the rental space where you couldn't before, right? A few years back, you either had to have a lot of money so you could put down the 25% and grow a portfolio, or you had to be some institutional buyer. And now I can dollar cost average into real estate with a lot of these funds and a lot of this tech, which is really cool. And of course, as that has been evolving, the insurance needed to evolve from, these same companies can't be sending out paper apps and waiting days for insurance and having like a 1980s type process. And that's where we kick in.
I'd like to talk just a little bit about the claims process. So as you're becoming an AMGA, what is your plan with the claims? Because renters, right, people who own rental properties, they want everything repaired quickly because somebody might have left an area or something. So talk to me a little bit about the claims. What are you doing now? What's on your roadmap?
Yeah, so I think claims is a huge avenue to tackle. I believe that right now it is still very prehistoric across the insurance industry. So as we get more back to our Costco brand in Kirkland and we take over and we are more the MGA, we get a lot more control of that. So right now, a lot of our stuff is ideas. And some of those ideas I'll share with you are just, can we work with, I'll give you one, like, can we work with like an Amazon or a Lowe's or some of these digital partners to make the claims experience better from a standpoint of, there's an aspect of claims called phone scoping, right? Someone has a claim, mm-hmm. You talk to someone, they describe that their fence blew down and somehow a new fence needs to be ordered, right? Is there ways that we can digitalize, that process, right? Is there ways that we can use technology to scope some of these and not have to have a claim rep go out? Can we use a drone? Can we use technology? A lot of almost a company I like Redfin, right? How like Redfin has like Redfin agents that you go there and then, people are paid to basically just go open a house and show it, right? So I think those are a lot of the concepts we're going to get there. Are we there today? No. Right now, where we're at is still like a very, let us know about the claim. We still try to do it in a white glove experience from, a more digital way that you submit it. But we still are a little bit reliant on today of our, what I call our paper or our carriers and our third party services as far as how fast those claims get handled. Now you do see some of the InsureTechs like, Lemonade and some of these others that are, maybe just like paying out certain thresholds or they're making some business decisions and those are on the maps. Laura, who's head of our MGA, would be able to speak a little bit more intelligently on that from a detail level. I'm always the visionary guy. So you can see where I'm wanting us to go as a company. I'm wanting us to be more of like a one-stop shop as it relates to that, more Amazon type of thing, if you will, like, come to Amazon, come to Obie for your claim. And we have all of a sudden we have web services to help you out and build that. So I think that's where we're going to try to go with it, as long as Laura and the MGA and the carriers will, let us have some latitude and flexibility.
Do you see the future of insurance? Like you're specific to property, correct?
Yeah, to the habitational space.
Habitational, yes. Right.
Yeah.
And so, and of course, on that regard, we work in insurance claims, and for us, the word habitational typically means like apartment buildings, mm-hmm. But properties. Do you see the future as finding these very specialized niche markets and really learning how to play very, very seriously or serve, very, very seriously the insureds in that particular segment? Like what you guys have done, and I think it's brilliant, is you've identified an enormous market that wasn't, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, that wasn't served at all, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, like vacant, nobody. And then you said, okay, this is all we're going to do. We're going to be super specialized in this. Now, of course, you're super specialized in a market segment that's worth trillions of dollars.
Yep.
But I mean, do you see that as the future with insurance? And because it certainly makes the InsureTech play make a lot more sense if you look at it that way.
Absolutely. So I'll answer your question with how I always describe myself. Anybody that asks me, like, who am I or what I do, I always describe myself as an entrepreneur who happens to do insurance. Right. And so really Obie is in that same regard, and I love using my Costco and my Amazon references. So you follow me here, is that I say that, Obie's trying to, revolutionize or change the way that the consumer, obtains their insurance policy. We happen to start in the habitational or the rental or the property space, whatever way you want to call it first. But I'm in totally agreement with you that this same type of philosophy will expand to many other ways, from, people being able to get better umbrella policies. Everybody in the InsureTech space ran to the easy kills, or like the most named one, the home and auto first, and renters, right? That's where everybody went. And, just like Amazon started with books, we started with the rental space, but we really do see a bigger picture as we continue to go to, we want our version of web services. We want our version of, Amazon Prime, so we're concentrating and being very specific where we're at today, because it is a huge market. But I do think we can replicate this business model across other niches in insurance and other things that are still stuck in the 1980s. And as other industries like prop tech pop up that show these glaring needs for new ways to do insurance, I think Obie is going to be the first one there to say, hey, we've done it and we can help you with that as well. Love that.
Love that vision.
Yeah. I was wondering, maybe you could take a step back to the beginning. We've talked about Skylight Insurance and your company. We've talked about the acquisition. I was wondering if maybe you could tell us a little bit of how that happened, what Obie was before Skylight came in, and a little bit about that path.
Yeah, absolutely. So started Skylight back in 2016, 2017. It was to work with a large real estate company called Center 21, who does, basically buy and sell homes all over the country. Pretty decently recognizable brand for the most part, especially like the Midwest and stuff. And so we were doing that, and then we slowly got into the larger rental space. And at that time I met Aaron and Ryan. Aaron was a family friend connection that we had mutually. We had never really hung out, if you will, but we had known each other from some weddings, and we got introduced. And their big pain point and what they were at the time is they were, in my opinion, they were like this Facebook for real estate at the time, right? Oh, this was back in 17. And Ryan's background was real estate, the one founder. And so there was this pain point in the real estate or the habitational space where when you own a large apartment or you own a rental, you're not storing your information on your particular asset in a good fashion. Some people are trying to use Dropbox. Some people are using Excel sheets. Some people are using paper and pen. And he realized all these pain points, and he said, hey, we can really build a better digitalized way to store your assets online, keep track of these things that show your NOI. So if you want to buy and sell, things are just smoother and easier. And just like Facebook, and that's why I call them that, they were looking like, how do we monetize this and make this, into a business? We clearly charging a user fee is a little tough. And that's where Skylight came in at the time. And we had a little partnership where as people needed help with their insurance, we would help them out with their insurance on a kind of a revenue share type basis. Flash forwarding, Aaron and Ryan were lucky enough to go through a program called Y Combinator out in California. I'll butcher it, but it's like a 6 to 8 week program where, you have a really good idea. You go out there and they really help you either fine tune what you have, maybe expand it, maybe change a little bit, get you connected in the VC space, and really help you take that like $1 million idea, like, not to quote like Justin Timberlake in the Facebook movie here, but like, $1 million isn't cool. $1 billion is cool. They really try to take you down that unicorn path. I believe they throw you a little money as well, and really have had some high success rate, like Airbnb went through it. Right. And so through that process, Aaron and Ryan discovered that, a kind of our makeshift combination of a partnership was really meant to provide that digital rental insurance faster. Like we could be like a Hippo lemonade of the rental space. And so through that, we decided that, the best way to do that was to merge companies under the Obie umbrella. So they acquired Skylight in early 2020, which if anyone remembers early 2020, I don't know if you can forget it. It was like the perfect time to do, a merger or an acquisition, right? Like just ideal timing. March, April, I think was our start time of that. So that's kind of how it happened. And we kind of shifted a little bit of what we were doing into what you see today, which the positive of that is we brought over a really experienced staff. Like some of the people at Skylight have been with me since my State Farm days. So you're talking 10, 15 years now, and 3 companies they've followed us through. We had premium already on the books. Like we had insurance people, myself and my team that knew about insurance. And then we brought in this whole other side of Aaron and Ryan who understood the VC game. They understood the tech side. They understood how building. And that's really why I jumped in as well, as I saw all these other InsureTechs, and I felt like we were positioned the best to succeed. So that's kind of the backstory, how we merged and kind of all came together.
I think what you guys are doing is fabulous. I love it. And in fact, I mentioned my wife earlier. my wife also has a rental house, right? And it's just insured through our agent as a regular thing. But I mean, it should absolutely be specialized. I mean, when I just think about the litigation liability, right? The various and sundry liabilities one has as the the beneficial owner of a property are serious. So I think you guys are onto something terrific, and I'm glad to hear, as you were saying before, that you have vision out to other niches in the market as well, and that's where your entrepreneurial makeup comes in, because I mean, you don't have to just do this, but at the same time, I just want to say, the market you're in, you'll never see the end of it. It's so big.
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen it with, it's not, we're recreating the wheel in an InsureTech light, if you think about it, right? State Farm and all these are forefather captive carriers, different like that have been around. They kind of started the same way, like, right. They were selling policies to farmers, and, they started with one area. And at that time, that was the InsureTech, right? Like create a policy and give it to someone through a broker, right? And then they started to add all these lines, and they did something very similar. And that's the same thing we're trying to do now. But like I said, we're recreating that same wheel, but with the InsureTech spin on it. So we're going to provide a lot of the same, core policies, if you will. Like the coverages don't need to change and everything like that. It's the access point. How do we allow brokers to be faster? Because they already have the clients, and why take that away? That there's no point in taking away these brokers who do a really good job and have great relationship with their customers. Let's just make them faster. And then for, the one-offs who just, want to do their insurance at midnight or, 2 a.m. themselves, they don't want that broker anyways, we're there for them. And then for the institutional buyers and institutional companies who allow people to invest in them, giving them that embedded quick resource as well.
So just to be clear, they can bind with you either way. They can do it themselves, or they can go through the agent if the agent has the license with you guys. So
absolutely.
I want to move topics for a second here, and I want to go to something that you said before we started today. You were talking about InsureTech 1.0 and InsureTech 2.0. In your view, can you define those for us and talk about how we're moving forward into this 2.0 that you mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. So being very respectful to the InsureTechs beforehand, the 1.0s, from what my opinion has seen is they came into space, and we wouldn't be here without them, right? But where I think a lot of their shortfalls, came in where they tried to kill the independent broker, right? Like make them like not exist. They tried to do a lot of this, let's spend millions on Google and Facebook and that type of advertising to convert. Right. That worked well from a like branding, VC, get them to IPO standpoint. But as you've seen with the markets, as soon as we got out of the pump rallies of the market and people started to look at these companies from like, what are they actually doing? You haven't seen them favor as well in the markets. And that's strictly because, they just weren't worried about the profitability. They weren't worried about how claims were going to be handled. A lot of the things that a broker or what we call a carrier that's been around for a while would care about. And so the benefits of this Insure 2.0, which we're getting to kind of go on, is we're getting to see a lot of the great things that they did, from branding and the speed and the technology and making things available. But we're able to concentrate on our claims ratio. We're able to concentrate on profitability, and we're able to concentrate on the independent channel. Like so many of those 1.0s, actually, I've helped get into their producer portal or get into some of the IA channels because they realize that's good business, right? And they should be there. And so, hindsight 2020, we get to kind of see what they did, take the good of what they have brought to the space, which is a lot, and then, but attack those things that might have been done a little bit better or differently if they got a second crack at it. And thankfully, a lot of them are getting a second crack at it and probably making those adjustments now. Like I don't see any of them falling off a cliff. So that's kind of the difference. Is it was grow at all costs, brand, kill the independent broker, write as much, go IPO. And now you're seeing a little bit of like grow, but keep an idea on profitability a little bit. And you're your real profitability, which is your claims ratio, include the independent brokers and not just include them, like enrich them, right? Because they still control 80% of the business. Right. And, that's really what I'm seeing between the 1.0 to 2.0 bridge.
So your time as an agent must have been super valuable to you in understanding the nature of the whole thing.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be where I'm at without, I started at State Farm as an agent, and then, went to the IA channel and now in the InsureTech. And it's really is valuable because I've seen all aspects. I've got to do some consulting in the InsureTech prior to that. I've got to help bring on agents for some other InsureTechs or recruits. So I've got to be really well-rounded in the entire space. With that being said, as you mentioned a million times, this industry is huge. So there's still so much of the insurance. And even though I've been doing it since diapers, there's still so much that I haven't touched, which is kind of exciting, and why we have partners at Obie who do touch those things. And, I stay a little bit more on the sales side, but yeah, it's really exciting. And I just love being a part of this, next phase. And there'll be 3.0, just like, you're seeing with right now in the internet.
No question. I mean, we can look at any technology company that has been around for a long time is not the same today as it was back then. And the needs of the marketplace are different. And the marketplace that you're in, or I should say the customer base that you're in is probably changing dramatically. And as interest rates change and the economy evolves, it will present new challenges as well as new opportunities in that market that you guys spend your time in. I'm sure you're talking about that already.
Absolutely. I think things are going, and I'm sure people talked about this in 2000s. People talked about it in the 90s, talked about the 80s. Things are always feel like they're going, with the phrase of, hey, things are moving 5 times faster than it did 10 years ago. And I'm pretty sure that's always been a phrase. And it's just going to continue to do that. And 10 years from now, someone's going to say that same thing about, 2022. Like, oh man, we are 5 times faster than they moved back then. And I think the difference between, any company is just, being able to adapt. Because, the one thing we didn't even touch on is this whole idea of blockchain and all the crypto and the different things like that, that's going to fall into our InsureTech space, which is already falling into our space.
Yes, right.
And at Obie, we got a pretty good eye on that. We are concentrating on that as well. A little bit more behind the scenes right now, but we know that that's important and is going to be part of the Web3 revolution, and definitely is something we're going to have to interact with and be nimble on as well.
Well, this is great because now we know why we can have you back and what we'll talk about. So thank you for setting that up for us, because we're not smart enough to figure that out on our own. I guarantee you. And that's why we have other people that work with us so they can think of everything. We're just here because we're the on-air personalities. Isn't that right, Lee?
That's right, Rob.
I knew there was a reason. Last thing before we go, you got to tell us about the kid, because he's a 95 percentile kid.
Oh, yeah. So my favorite subject for last, yes, I have as of this recording, a 6-month-old, and his name is Penn. My wife doesn't like this example, but like Penn and Teller, Penn. And I'm 5'11", my wife is 5'1", and he is in 95, 96 percentile height, weight, everything. We went through IVF to have him, and our only thoughts is that he got a little extra juice through that, because he is one big kid, but more importantly, he's a lot of fun. He's healthy. And right now, outside of doing a podcast with you all and closing some rental business, he's number one thing that I have on my mind and want to do.
Fun. We thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Matt.
And for being with us today. Love your company. Love
Thank
it.
you.
Love what you're doing. Love the prospects and the management thereof. And we can't thank you enough for being with us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I think you could sense my excitement about Obie.
I could.
And I'm not exactly sure why. I guess just because my wife has a particular background in real estate and rentals and all that kind of stuff. And so, we've talked about it a lot. She's very interested in it over time. And it's just a good idea. It's just a simple, good idea.
I would agree. It's a niche market. Not even a niche, right? It's a big market that needs specialty insurance, and it's nice that people know where they can go get that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's great, and that they've made a lot of progress on it. They have it together. They're growing. They've built their MGA, and terrific. We thank Matt a ton for being with us today. We thank our intrepid producers, Al and Alicia, the two Als, as we like to call them.
I don't think I've ever said that.
We've never called them that one time, have we?
Not one time.
Not even once. That was the first time. And we thank the two Als for all the work they do so that you guys have something to listen to. We thank you most especially for being with us, for being our partners in this journey. And so we'll say to you until next time.
Goodbye, everybody.